just caught her on Sunday. Here's a video of Indy being caught when she was living under an abandoned trailer. This video is going to show how sensitive dogs are to our movements and how we can communicate with them without using any kind of commands, but only using body language and also having the dog follow you. Indy is particularly attentive to this, and I don't know at this point if that is a good or a bad thing. We will find out as she progresses. But you can see that she's very in tune to me using my body language. I have numbers coming up on the screen of when there are changes that I make that will affect her movement. And you guys may even see more than I do. So, feel free to pick out your own that I may have missed. I'm going to show this in real time with the numbers coming up on the screen, the first part. And then the second part, I'm going to slow it down and explain what I was doing during this little video. Feral dogs are particularly in tune with body language because their survival depends on watching us, and you can see how observant she is here. This is 2 days after we caught her. I do think she may have been a pet at some point in her life, but the neighbors have reported she was on her own for probably 2 years, raising puppies. But here you can see how she's being quite receptive to my stopping. Here you can see how my lowering myself to her level invites her in to sniff me a little bit. And then you can also see that I move my hand right here towards her just slightly, and that stops her from sniffing. This is Indy on a leash the day we trapped her when I brought her home. As you can see, she's kind of like a whirling dervish. In my experience with many, many feral dogs, we can start the rehabilitation process much sooner. And here she is walking on a leash very nicely 2 days after that. So now I'm going to narrate a little bit for you all what I was doing. Here I stopped, and instead of stopping, she went around me. But then you can see I just turned my head a little bit, and that moves her more around me to her original starting position. Also, my hand movement with putting the leash behind my back probably guided her here too. And here I stop, and she stops. And here I keep going, and she follows me. And here I turn towards her, into her a little bit, and hold my hand out, and she stops. I start walking again, and she's following me. And then I turn left across her path, and you can see she very nicely turns with me. She doesn't run into me. At this point, she's still, unsure about me and keeping a safe distance a little bit behind me as well. And here I turned on a diagonal and I stop, and you can see she stops about 1.5 steps after I do. This is why I love working with these dogs, because they're so sensitive and they tell me more with their body language about how they're feeling and how they're reacting to things, that then I can take this information and start working with normal dogs in this way and using much more subtle communication skills. And here I stopped and then I keep walking. And here she doesn't quite follow me as quickly, but then I just move my left hand just slightly with the leash and she moves towards me. So you can see just that little movement of my hand brought her closer to me. And here I am backing up and she's following me. This whole exercise is just to see exactly how sensitive she is, how she reacts to different changes in my pattern, my walking, my arm movements, and also just to convey how sensitive dogs are to our movements. And a lot of times this is overlooked and underutilized, that we can communicate with them in much more subtler ways than we may think. And here I stepped sideways and she's coming with me. And here she's going to go around me, but I just hold out my hand just to signal for her to stop. Very slight body pressure. And I walk backwards and she keeps coming. I hold my hand out as something for her to follow in this particular instance. Here I change my hand from being down by my side to slightly in front of me, and you can see that little bit of change causes her to slow down. So here I'm gathering up the leash, and she comes around to the side she has been walking on, and then I walk across the road and she follows that direction. And then you can see I just held the leash up and she stopped. And so sometimes this is good to watch in a video because, and here I step into her space a little bit and she moves. Sometimes you may not even realize that you're moving your arm or a part of your body that may be affecting the dog. So it's always good to videotape yourself and your dog and review it. It can be rather humbling. Here I step into her space to stop her, and then walk in front, and she turns around and follows me again. And here we both stop and look to the right. And then I turn back towards the camera, and she turns back towards the camera as well. A lot of times with these dogs, the first couple days are rather easy for them to walk on leash. And then they start to get more confident and they may start trying to pull a little bit. That's why working with these dogs is also kind of a stair-step sort of process. You know, once they get less fearful, you may have to train them, like not pull on the leash. This morning, I worked with her on that a little bit more. I hope this has demonstrated how sensitive dogs can be. If you want to know if your dog's this sensitive, just give it a try. Walk around and step in and away from the dog and do diagonals and just see if your dog follows you. And do this in a very, very quiet area at first. If you can work on this, then when you go out into the busy world, your dog will be more likely to follow your lead as well. Hope you enjoyed seeing Indy walking on leash. Thanks for joining me. And if you want more info about fearful and feral dogs, please go to feraldogtraining.com. Thank you.